the majority of the world, they're buying really affordable phones. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So in this video, I want to talk about picking the right smartphone here in 2019. So another basic discussion video. If you don't like discussion videos, take a second to go visit other videos on my channel where I'm doing unboxings of some of your favorite products. So let's get into this. The first thing I would recommend a person to do if they are trying to decide what smartphone they want, some people would tell you to start with the price of the phone, but I would tell you find out how big of a phone you actually want. And the reason I say how big is because there are phones now with pretty big screens, like 5.5 inches, which is pretty big, but they have a very small body. And I think that's important. So getting some hands-on time, you don't even have to be a person that's linked to a certain carrier. You can just walk into any smartphone store and get some hands-on time, or go into Best Buy. Just pick up as many smartphones as you can. They have a boatload of them laid out so you can get a feel of in hand, with the exception of them having them on these locking devices. But you can get a feel in hand of how big of a phone you might want to go with as far as screen size and actually body ratio. So if you want the biggest screen you can get in the smallest body, this is something you need to start researching. Now, next, obviously, it would be the price, because there are some tricks to this, because you really could find a phone that is currently released in 2019, or at least in the last 6 months at the end of 2018, and you might find some really great phones. But you could also venture backwards and find phones that are very powerful and cost a lot less than what you're looking at current day. So price, set a budget. Set your budget. I don't want to go over $350. I don't want to go over $400. Whatever your budget is, set that budget and try your best to stick to it. So another thing that you should search for when you're searching for your next phone, and it's a tough one, but battery size. So just because a phone has a big battery inside doesn't mean you're going to get great battery. So I'll say this: you'll spend more money on some phones that have good battery life. Namely, most of the iPhones that I use have really good battery life. However, they have smaller batteries than some of the Android phones, and that's just because of the way the operating system is put together. However, again, I lean more towards the Moto line for a fantastic battery experience, and you won't spend a lot of money. So you can determine how big you think you want your battery will be. And the way you're probably going to do that is you're going to say, well, how long will it last off a charge? And, you know, a salesperson really can't tell you that, because they're just going to give you their personal experience, and you can't go on that. Finding that right size battery on paper that you think might work for you. No guarantees that you're going to get fantastic battery, but because it always depends on what you're doing on your phone and how you have it set up. So that's an important feature to look for. Now, the next thing you want to look for in your next phone, and obviously I'm speaking more along the lines of smartphones, quote unquote smartphones, is the camera. This is probably one of the most important features that I would tell you to focus on when buying your smartphone. Now, this is something that you can actually get real-time testing, especially if you go over to Best Buy or any carrier. And Best Buy will have a wide range of all the phones, a wide variety of all the phones, and you'll be able to really get some hands-on with phones that are on AT&T, phones that are on Sprint, phones that are on Verizon, some prepaid phones that might possibly be on T-Mobile, or just a wide variety of Boost Mobile, just all these different phones, unlocked phones. You'll get to experience them all. So I recommend that you do that. You know, walk into that Best Buy if it's one close by you, or go find one and spend an hour in there just playing with the phones. They will not say anything to you. Trust me, I go in Best Buy sometimes and I'm in there for an hour, and I've spent 20 minutes in the phones, 20 minutes in the cameras, 20 minutes in the TVs. I just spread it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm in there. So I recommend that you get some hands-on time with the cameras, folks. The cameras on phones, and look at the camera software. Look at the camera software. That is very important. You have to be able to determine whether or not you're going to be comfortable with that camera software. There are phones out there with really good cameras, but the software is horrible. And if you being the average consumer, you're not going to go and say, I'm going to download the APK to yada yada. You're not going to do that. You're going to just use it as is, and you're going to chalk that up as your experience with cameras on that particular brand, because it happens like that. Word of mouth is powerful. So you'll be in a situation where somebody will say, well, what phone do you have? Man, your photos come out good. And you're like, oh, but to take a photo is horrible. You know, I don't like that I have to click here and do this and do this. Those are the things that happen. So taking photos right there on the spot of yourself, of other people, you know, test it out, play with it as much as possible, because you'll thank yourself later. If you may think that, oh, the camera's not at the top of my list. That is one of the most important things about smartphones today. If you can't check off the box for a really good camera, it's going to spoil some of your photos of your kids, your grandkids, your mother, your father, your uncle, whoever, family, period. You'll be in a situation, you want to be in a situation where you forgot your digital camera, or you don't have a digital camera and everybody else has their DSLRs out and you just have your cell phone. I've been in that situation before, and my photos came out better than theirs, at least so they said. They were like, wow, that looks fantastic. Here's why. You have a bigger canvas. So you, like most DSLRs, it's a small screen, like this small screen that, you know, you can see it, but on a bigger canvas, you really get the gist of it. You can zoom in and get a really good look at it, where it starts to pixelate and it starts to get grainy on one spot. You can really hammer it home with the right smartphone in your hand. So I really encourage you to grab the right smartphone camera of your choice, of your liking. And the tough part is getting the right camera might not be on the right phone. The camera that you like might be on a phone that's $800, or the camera that you might like might be on a phone that doesn't have something else good about it. You don't like the software, you don't like the battery life, you don't like the way you have to click here, you don't like how the buttons are set up. This is a challenge for a lot of people, finding that combination. So cameras, folks, are very important. There's a long list of things I could go down and tell you how to choose your right smartphone, but for time's sake, I can't stay on video for 3 hours. This will have to be more like a live stream, and maybe I'll do that one day. I'll set up a live stream where I'm just talking about how to buy the right smartphone, or, you know, you let me know in the comments if you want to see something like that, and I'll definitely will start that discussion live. So now, I spoke about it earlier, but operating systems. Operating systems is something you're going to have to make a choice about. And right now, there are a few operating systems out there. You only hear of two, which is Android and iOS, but there are other operating systems out there. Some discontinue, but you can still purchase those devices like Windows phones and things like that, Symbian, all these different BlackBerry. They're still out there for sale. They're just in an older bag, you know, and some people choose to go that route. Some people don't. But right off the rip, though, I will tell you that your choice is technically, if you walk into a Best Buy or and start searching around any carrier, you're only going to see Android or iOS. And predominantly, you're going to see Android. So I suggest that in order to get the feel of what you are going to like, again, do not ask a sales associate for help picking out a phone for you. Go over there, dig dirty, get down low, and you play with the phones. You go through and use it, especially if it's your first smartphone or you're coming from something else. Even if you use an iPhone 6 right now, and people keep telling you, oh, don't switch to Android, you won't like it. Don't listen to those people. Or if you're on Android and people tell you, don't switch to an iPhone, it's too locked down, son, you're not gonna like it, son. Don't listen to that, man. You go out there and you get busy and you spend the time that you can, whatever you have available in the store, and you play with what you scan through and play with on the devices. You got to put the work in. You got to put the hands-on time in there yourself. Don't be lazy and ask somebody else what they think, because all you're getting is what they think. Your experience will be completely different. So get out there. Don't go with the mindset of, I have to pick this operating system or I have to pick this one, because if I don't pick this, I don't get this. You just use them and play with it. And I will tell you this, though. You're going to feel like you can do more on Android. But sometimes less is more. You feel me? So again, you have to choose what you want to do. So get out there, go play with the iPhone XS Max, go play with the iPhone XR, go play with the Pixel 3, go play with the Pixel 3 XL, go play with the Galaxy S9, go play with the Sony Xperia, go play with the Motorola's, go play with all of these phones. Get in there and dig in deep in the operating system and go find things that you would possibly do with these devices. There is a phone for you there. And it's probably not what you think it is. You'll hear people say, oh, in order to get the best photos, you have to go with the Pixel. Or in order to get the best photos, you have to go, or get the video, you have to go with an iPhone. Or in order to get the best battery, you need to go with this phone. In order to get this, you need to go with this. And it's smoother over here. All that being said, if you don't remember anything else, remember how much you're going to deviate from your budget. Now, some recommendations from me personally. These are my personal recommendations. You can disagree. You can do whatever you want to do. I'm just telling you, most people, I've sat on live real-time panels. I've gone to meetings and it was a mixed crowd, and I didn't know it was going to be a mixed crowd. I thought I was sitting in a room with a bunch of techies at one point, and I've gone to several meetings like this. The majority of the world is not holding the most expensive phone out there. They're not buying these expensive phones. They're buying really affordable phones, $200, $99, because a phone to them is not a phone like a phone is to us. So you need to make sure that you're staying within your budget and you're picking something that you like. Now, recommendations. The number one phone right now that I would recommend to you, and you're getting a whole bunch, is the Moto G7. Currently right now, that is probably the phone, and I do have tons of ZTE phones that cost less than the Moto G7. And again, I showed you the Sony. You know, I've got a lot of phones over here. I'm not picking up iPhones and Pixels and stuff like that because they're very expensive, and people don't want to spend that kind of money. And you notice I didn't even pick up my OnePlus 7T or some. Oops, my OnePlus 6T. They'll go anywhere with that. But the Moto G7 is a phone right now, and that's not taking away from any other phone. I have them, I like them, I enjoy them. But if a person wants to save a ton of money and they want a great experience, whether you're in the US, whether you're overseas, if you're overseas, you have the Moto G7 Plus. Yes, it has a few more features like stereo speakers and different cameras. If you're in the US, you have the G7, you have the G7 Power, you have the G7 Play. All these phones, all located all over the world. Why did I pick the G7? The G7 is universally fit for nearly everyone, a king or a queen, young or old. That phone has a good sized screen, really good cameras, fantastic battery life, and remember, this is my personal experience. Fantastic battery life, cameras. I have used the G7 to record tons of videos on this channel. I never tell you guys, and you guys don't even notice. You think it's the same quality as my DSLR because how much, can you're just sitting here filming, what can you do? The G7 is affordable. It's under 300 bucks, and you can find it even less than that depending on where you look. The cameras on the G7 are a lot better than some of the phones that I held up. A lot better. And even battery life is kicking way up there. And some of those phones that I held up have 4,000 milliamp hour batteries inside. So, I would definitely tell you the G7. Now, this isn't like any kind of promo video. This is just me talking. You guys know me. I'm just telling you my opinion. You can disagree. You can say whatever you want to say. I respect it. However, in personal use, I'm telling you right now, bang for buck, value in your pocket, it's the G7. There's a lot, especially with the cameras, the battery, performance, those three right there. If you can't, and price, those four, if you can't check those off, you got to make some adjustments. And that's just one personal recommendation that I would make to you. Now, if you want to spend even less money than that and still get a pretty good performing phone, it would definitely be one of these ZTE phones. And some of you guys are going to say the Blade Max View is the better of the two. But I have them both. I really like them both, so it's hard for me to decide. This was my go-to, the S2, and the Blade Max View got the off update, so it's tough. So, I mean, I definitely would tell you, do your research. Now, some phones you can't just walk in and pick up. And that's just what it is. You can't just walk in and pick up some phones. So that's a problem for you. But you are going to have to go to YouTube for some things, and you just do what you will with that. But I would tell you for sure, make sure that you get some hands-on time with what you're trying to buy. If you can't get any hands-on time, utilize your 14-day return period or exchange period. Make sure you do your homework. Don't just listen to me. And I'm just one person out of a haystack, man. It's a billion other people that are just like me that will give you some advice similar to mine, or they might say, well, Jay's completely off. But it's neither here nor there. I'm going to tell you, buying the right smartphone is a tough job today because there's so many good options. Now, we'll talk about, now this video is pretty much for 300 or less, I would say. No more than 400 probably. But we'll get into a video about phones that cost more than that in another segment. So, how to buy the right smartphone, that's just my take on it. It's your man Jay. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.